As some of you can guess from watching a lot of my videos, I come into the possession of multiple planes throughout the year. I have a tendency to buy and sell planes constantly. When I see a good deal on Craigslist, I swoop on it. If I love the plane, I keep it. If not, I sell it and move on to something else. Well, 5 years ago, Hobby King had some great clearance sales during the summer. One of those was for their Avios Seafury 1200mm airplane. At the time, you could pick it up for only $100 as a plug-and-play kit. That was a phenomenal deal. I jumped on it. And I then had a lot of issues with the plane. It's no secret now that the Avios product at the time had a lot of quality control issues, such as the landing gear coming out with a slight tug, not having the right CG listed in the manual, amongst other issues. Well, this plane ended up being a bit of a troublesome one for me. Over the course of summer, I worked on it, had multiple small incidents. Some were my fault, some were mechanical failures, some were receiver issues. It was just a bad luck plane. However, after about 8 months of ownership, I finally kind of got it dialed in. As you can see in these photos, I put some weathering on it, I installed a retractable tail wheel. The plane looked beautiful. For whatever reason, though, I was at a point in my life where I was coming into a lot of planes, needed to make room, and I ended up selling it. And to this day, I've always regretted it. There's a few planes I've regretted selling. Out of the many, many planes I've sold, most don't bother me that I let them go, but this was one I was a little regretful of. Well, as luck would have it, the Avios Seafury has kind of come back, this time being sold from Banana Hobby. It's the same model, but marketed as a BlitzRC or Banana Hobby aircraft. The price point was great at $210. I thought, hey, this is going to be great. So I jumped on it, and I was excited to see what I got. Let's just say it wasn't what I had hoped for. So right off the bat, the most noticeable thing is that this comes with the Star and Bar United States livery. Those who are familiar with the history of the Seafury knows that it never operated with the United States. It could have been Canada or Australia or some other countries, but they went with the USAF, which isn't accurate. So that's annoying, and unfortunately the decals are vinyl, meaning if you want to make this look correct with the roundels and the British livery, then you need to peel those off, prep the area, smooth it back out to apply the correct decals. Some people aren't going to care about this. I did. So that was a bit of a disappointment. I was hoping perhaps it didn't come with the decals pre-applied, but of course it did. That said, I really don't have any right to complain. It is on the website showing that livery. I knew what it was. I bought into it, and so, okay, it's a gripe, but I can't really fault anyone for it. However, the next few items are a bit misleading. As you can see on this website, it advertises as having drop tanks included with the model, and down lower on the website it includes the description that it has the drop tank release mechanism, which the original Avios model had as well. Once I opened up the model and examined everything, it was obvious there were no drop tanks included, and the location where the servo release mechanism should be was completely empty, and the plug that the Avios model included was not attached or included, meaning there was a giant hole in the wing where it should have been. When I reached out to Banana Hobby about this, they told me that they do not put together every plane they sell, and that they rely on the manufacturer's description to put on their website. They offered me a $15 rebate, which I argued was not enough, because for me to buy new drop tanks and retract mechanisms is going to be well over $20. I'm still in the process of negotiating with them on that as we speak. In addition, there was a gear retract plate cover that is on one side of the wing but wasn't installed on the other. The glue is there, so obviously it was installed, but it must have fallen off at some point. It was not in my box anywhere, so that was a quality control issue that was a bit disappointing. Lastly, a few other items that were a bit disappointing is the lack of any pilot figure, meaning that you will have to cut away the canopy to install a pilot if that's what you want to do, and they didn't include the blue board, or the multi-board that used to sit on the wing that had all the connectors plugged into it, which then connected to your receiver. I didn't think this was a big deal until I tried to put this whole thing together and realized those inner gear doors that this model has use that multi-board as a sequencer. So, because this model doesn't have that multi-board, you either need extra channels on your receiver to set up a sequencer via your transmitter, or you need to buy a separate gear sequencer so that you can have the doors operate properly and not jam your retracts. Again, this is something that was included with the Avios model by default, and I had just presumed would be part of this Banana Hobby model. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and it ended up requiring quite a substantial amount of work for me to get all these corrected, make everything work correctly, and there's just a lot of hidden costs involved that one didn't anticipate. At the end of the day, I probably spent as much getting this plane ready to go as I would have if I had just purchased the Flightline model from Motion RC at their asking price. However, all those gripes aside, I decided to press forward and make the most of what I could. I pulled off the old decals, I put on the correct livery. I'm still waiting on a couple roundels for the fuselage, which should be arriving soon, but I installed the retractable tail wheel as I did on the previous model I owned, and tried to set up the gear door sequencing via my transmitter and was successful with that. I had to add substantial weight to the nose cowling area to accommodate for the additional tail weight created by the retractable tail wheel mechanism, but all in all, I got it back to a pretty close proximity of what I had previously. And so with all that said, I decided it was time for a maiden flight, and assuming everything worked well, I could then weather it, spend all the time making final adjustments, and then I could call it a day. So with that said, let's go on to the video of the maiden flight. You can see how that worked, and I'll follow up with a brief conclusion afterward. Thanks for sticking through to this point. Hope you enjoy the video.
Alright, ready for takeoff. Taking off to the south. Yep, there's that tail. Well, that was effortless. Whew. Just took to the sky. A weird. She's kind of crabbing a bit, which is weird. Not sure why. I assume it's rudder that needs trimming, so we'll keep working on that. Hands off. Better. Better. Getting there. More pass should do it. Hands off. Seems pretty good. Pretty good now. So I'm about at half throttle, so I'll give it full throttle when it comes back around, which is into the wind. Not bad, not great. Let's give it some vertical. Definitely doesn't have as much punch as I'd want, but it's alright. Roll. I can tell she is a bit on the tail heavy side, which I'm not surprised given the retract I put in the tail. That would make sense. So I might have to numb the controls on the elevator a little bit. We go up at altitude, I'm going to check the flaps. Slowing down a bit, going full flaps, hands off. A little bit, well, it slows down, that's for damn sure. That's pretty good actually, full flaps. Putting flaps up. Barrel roll. Half loop, half even. pass, put the gear down, and then I'm going to try to come in for a landing from the north. So, here we go, gear going down. Everything's down, back out there. Flaps going down. I'd say that's pretty good. Alrighty. Mission complete.
There she is.
Alright, so flight done, everything worked well. My only complaints I would say is that it's a little underpowered. This isn't a change from the Avios model, it's just simply that technology has progressed and people expect a bit more performance out of the modern Warbirds. I do have a few spare motors lying in my stash that I might try swapping out and seeing if that gives me an improvement. It also has the benefit of being a heavier motor, so I might be able to remove some of that dead weight that I use to compensate for the tail retract mechanism. At the end of the day, I'm happy with what I have, but I kind of regret not just simply paying a little bit more and getting the Flightline model. It has everything you want, including a pilot figure, the proper decals, a modern setup, and something else that's important is it has good parts support. That's not something that the Avios or the Banana Hobby model have at all. There's no parts at all for it. So at the end of the day, I really can't recommend this model, even if it has the nav lights and the inner gear doors. That's really cool scale features, but I just don't think it makes up for the downfalls with this. So thanks for sticking around. Hope you enjoyed this different take from the rest of my videos, and hope it was insightful.